Bushehr, a Bushehr pronunciation, also romanized as Bandar-e and Bandar-e Bushehr, previously known as Beh Ardasher. Antiochia in Persian Bukht Ardashir is the capital city of Bushehr Province, Iran. At the 2006 census, its population was 161,674 in 40,771 families. Bushehr lies in a vast plain running along the coastal region on the Persian Gulf coast of southwestern Iran. It is built near the ancient port city of Reshire. It was the chief seaport of the country and is the administrative center of its province. Its location is about 1,218 kilometers south of Tehran. The local climate is humid. Bushehr was the main trade center of Iran in the past centuries. The city's structures are traditional in style, modest in proportion and cost. Due to its lack of rail connection to the interior of the country and its shallow anchorage, it has lost its position as the primary port of Iran. History. To the south of the present city, at Rishahr, are the remains of an earlier Elamite settlement. During the Greek-Macedonian Seleucid dynasty, the city was refounded as Antiochia in Persis by Seleucus Nicator. A few decades later, the city was rebuilt by Seleucus's son Antiochus, who transferred the colonists from Magnesia. Also, the Seleucid king Antiochus stayed there for a while in 205 BC after his campaign to the eastern provinces. Antiochia remained under Greek Seleucid rule until circa 170 BC. It was one of the most important ports of the Sasanian navy and was named after the first king of this dynasty, Ardashir I. In the 5th century AD, Bushehr was the seat of the Nestorian Christian expansion into southern Iran. In 1737, the Dutch East India Company opened a trading post in Bushehr, which lasted until 1753. In 1763, the Arab ruler of Bushehr, Sheikh Nasser al-Madkour, granted the British East India Company the right to build a base and trading post there. It was used as a base by the British Royal Navy in the late 18th century. In the 19th century, Bushehr became an important commercial port. It was occupied by British forces in 1856, during the Anglo-Persian War 1856 to 1857. Bushehr surrendered to the British on the 9th of December 1856. It was occupied by the British again in 1915, the second time due to German intrigue, most notably by Wilhelm Wassmuss. Industries include fishing and a thermoelectric power plant, while the inland area produces Shiraz wine, metalwork, rugs and other textiles, cement, and fertilizer. The Iranian Navy maintains a base here. Situation and significance. The strategic location of the city of Bushehr has been the main reason for the establishment of the port of Bushehr. During the 1st and 2nd millennium BCE, the peninsula of Bushehr was a thriving and flourishing seat of civilization called Rishahr. Many relics have been found in this regard related to the Elamite era and the civilization of Shush. These structures of Rishahr are said to be related to Ardashir of Sassanid dynasty, and Rishahr was formerly known by the name of Ardashir. Thereby, through the passage of time, came to be called Rishahr and thence Bushehr. The Persian Gulf and consequently the province of Bushehr enjoys a remarkable situation with trade in addition to its remarkable situation regarding military affairs. For these reasons, the Europeans were interested to take control of the region and the city of Bushehr. The Portuguese invaded the city of Bushehr in 1506 CE and attempted to take the place of the Egyptian and the Venetian traders who were dominant in the region. In 1734, Nadir Shah of Afsharid dynasty chose it as the site for an Iranian naval base. During the Zandi era, the region was a place for political political challenges between different political groups. When the Qajar dynasty replaced the Zand dynasty, they gained less control on the region of the Persian Gulf, so the British influence in the region increased gradually. At the end of the 18th century, the British and Dutch transferred the regional commercial offices to Bushehr, and during the 19th century the town was prominent as the home of the British political agent for the Persian Gulf. The Consulate General of British governed Bushehr for 20 years. This situation had lasted till 1913, and during the long battle between the Iranian and the British troops, the Iranians lost in 1857 and the British influence expanded to include all the Persian Gulf coast. But in 1913, the Iranians won the long battle. Britain moved its diplomatic and commercial center across the Persian Gulf to Bahrain in 1946. The city was economically depressed until the 1960s, when the government initiated a major development program. In 1975, the government began building a nuclear power plant at Bushehr. This facility was only partially completed when it was bombed by Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War. When Germany, the initial backer of the plant, declined to complete it after the war, Iran tried to secure aid from other countries. In 1995, however, Russia signed an agreement to finish the plant. Bushehr is one of the important ports in Persian Gulf which has an international airport, and highways connect the city to Ahvaz to the northwest and Shiraz to the northeast. A secondary coastal road links Bushehr to Bandar-e to the southeast. The old section of central Bushehr has many examples of traditional Persian Gulf architecture from the period 1870 to 1920. Bushehr is an export market for the farm produce of the neighboring and fertile Fars province. Bushehr's industries include seafood canneries, food processing plants, and engineering firms. It has a population of 205,320. Sports. Bushehr's two major football teams are Shafyan and Iran-Javan. Both teams play in the Azerbaijan League. Shafyan was relegated to the Azerbaijan League in 2013 after a disappointing season. Bushehr has a few Dragon Boat teams. The junior team Sokonai.At Iran participated in the 2014 Club Crew World Championships in Ravenna, Italy. They performed exceedingly well, placing third in both 200-meter and 500-meter in Junior A Open. While they were one of the smallest teams at the championships, they were victorious because of the great focus, teamwork, and dedication to the sport. This team also has a very optimistic and confident mindset going into every race, and has excellent sportsmanship towards all teams both faster and slower than themselves. Climate. Bushehr, being located on the hot Persian Gulf, has a desert climate, though it does receive far more rainfall than most cities on the Gulf. This rain, however, is confined to the period from November to February, when temperatures are pleasantly mild, and is extremely erratic, with some years having as little as 65 millimeters and others such as 1,957, 1,958 and 1,997, 1,998 as much as 700 millimeters. Nuclear development. Bushehr is 12 kilometers from the site of the Bushehr nuclear power plant being built in cooperation with Russia. The work was begun by the Bonn firm Kraftwerk Union AG, a unit of Siemens AG, which contracted to build 2 nuclear reactors based on a contract worth $4 to $6 billion, signed in 1975. Work stopped in January 1979, and Kraftwerk Union fully withdrew from the project in July 1979, with one reactor 50% complete, and the other reactor 85% complete. They said they based their action on Iran's non-payment of $450 million in overdue payments. The company had received $2.5 billion of the total contract. The cancellation came following the 1979 Iranian Revolution. Iran subsequently requested that Siemens finish construction, but Siemens declined. Shortly afterwards, Iraq invaded Iran and the nuclear program was stopped until the end of the war. The reactors were damaged by multiple Iraqi airstrikes between March 1984 and 1988. In 1995, Russia signed a contract to supply light water reactor for the plant. The agreement calls for the spent fuel rods to be sent back to Russia for reprocessing. It has been reported that Russia has ordered Iran's first nuclear power station to be started up in March 2010 to coincide with the Iranian New Year. One of the unidentified sources said that testing at the plant was going well. Colleges and universities: Persian Gulf University, Bushehr University of Medical Sciences, Islamic Azad University of Bushehr, Iran Nuclear Energy College. Postage stamps.